welcome back. It's Jason Hartman with the last in a series of lessons. Let's go into self-management as we wrap up here. Congratulations, you've done a great job getting through this course. And I wanted to save this for last because I think it's really a fantastic opportunity for investors. You know, if you asked me years ago if I could self-manage a property that I've never seen with a tenant that I've never met from 2,000 miles away from my home, I would have told you you were crazy. But that's what happened to me. And, it can work pretty well. There are some things you need to do. You need to be organized. You need to kind of view it differently and take care of business. But in many ways, it's actually easier. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about some of the key points of self-management, learn how to remotely advertise your property and screen tenants remotely, and learn how to remotely arrange for rehab and repairs, and then collect rent too. Now, when we talk about self-management, there are really, varying degrees of it. And what I'm going to recommend, even though we're going to talk about doing more, I'm going to recommend just at the outset here, I want to say a hybrid approach where you sort of partially self-manage and you partially use the real estate industry out there, whether it be realtors or property managers on an a la carte basis. So as we get into this, some of the key points are that you're going to have some more duties, okay? You need to find and communicate with partners in the local market area when you're investing non-locally. And if you're managing a property near your primary residence, the logistics of self-management can be easier, ... Maybe. Now, why do I point out that ... Maybe? Because what I've noticed, oddly, is that when I had that first sort of default self-management experience with this property I'd never seen, and I've still never seen, with a tenant I've never met, that was about, well, maybe not quite 2,000 miles from my home, but almost 2,000 miles away, I kind of thought about some local properties that I owned. And I thought, I had this one local property. I lived in Orange County, California at the time. And so in this Newport Beach and Irvine area, which you may be familiar with, this particular property was in Irvine, California. And, I don't think that the California market was really a very good market in which to invest, but I bought that property a long time ago and I still had it as I was becoming a nationwide investor. And I thought, I've got this property that's only just a few minutes from me. It wasn't far at all. And I thought, I haven't been to that property in many years. It really might as well be 2,000 miles away because I haven't even driven by it. And it was working just fine. So if you think of this the right way and you approach it the right way, it really can be very easy. In some ways, the non-local property is actually easier to self-manage because you will avoid the temptation of doing your own work on the property, which I think is usually a bad idea. We want to build a big portfolio. We want to be real investors. We don't want to be swinging hammers and doing handiwork. That's really not the highest and best use of our time. Certainly Donald Trump is not working on his own buildings. He could have never gotten to where he is today if he tried to do this work himself, right? Do the handiwork himself. And also, your tenant, knowing that you're not local, doesn't expect you to come over and look at the little problem or repair issue with the property. So it's even beneficial in that way in some ways. Now, it's very important when you're a virtual manager to have systems, resources, and relationships that are local in advance. I had the famous author Harvey Mackay on my podcast, and he's written all these books with these great titles, How to Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. You may have heard of these books. They're quite famous. Well, one of the books he wrote had another great title. It was called Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. Dig your well before you're thirsty. And as self-managers, as virtual managers, we need to do this in advance. So we need to form some relationships in advance of our needing them, whether they be relating to tenant acquisition, screening, rent collection, and property maintenance and repairs, I'm going to show you some ways to do this. So as I mentioned, there are various degrees of self-management, or shades of gray, if you will, in self-management. One option, and this is by no means meant to be an exhaustive discussion of those, because there are many of them, but one option is to partner with a local real estate agent. One of the great things about investing in real estate is you have this huge industry of people that will, in essence, help you out. They'll give you free advice. They'll drive by your properties for free. They'll help you out for free, just because they want to earn your business in the future when you need them at some point in the future. Say you want to sell the property. And so the local real estate agents or realtors can be a great resource to help you out. And there are so many of them. They're just out there in mass quantity, and many of them are very eager to help. So you can tap into that, and I'm going to show you how. In many cases, these real estate agents, you can make an agreement with them to advertise the property, to screen tenants, to do walkthroughs, to take pictures of your property, to keep an eye on it for you, to refer you to maintenance people and repair people and contractors. And in exchange for this service, you might pay them if they do a one-time lease up or tenant placement. You might pay them 1 month worth of rent. Certainly this is negotiable. It's not fixed by law. You could pay them 75% of 1 month. You could pay them a flat fee of $500 or $1,000. It's all up to you and that agent to come to an agreement there. You can advertise the property yourself, and there are many great resources online. Of course, Craigslist, Zillow, Postlets, which is actually now owned by Zillow. Many other sites out there. I'm going to tell you about one in just a moment that I didn't mention here. And this requires you to do more of the legwork associated with the tenant screening, but there are some great tools, and here's one of them. This one is called Cozy, C-O-Z-Y, and I think it's cozy.co, not .com, .co, I believe. And check this out. I'm not affiliated with this company or any of these companies that I mentioned to you, just resources out there I want you to be aware of, and it's certainly a free market. There are other companies, but this one I thought was kind of unique because they can help you with rental applications, tenant screening, credit reports, background checks, and they'll help you collect your rent online. So really just some tremendous resources out there. One of our clients uses Cozy, and he likes it a whole bunch. He bought many properties through my company, and he's up to about 70 units now, I believe, and really he likes Cozy a lot. So this has been a great resource for him, and many of his properties are self-managed from a distance. This gentleman that I'm talking about lives in Northern California and has properties all over the country. So this is a good opportunity for you. So you can remotely manage repairs and rent collection in several ways here. An easy model for rent collection is to just, this is not as sophisticated as Cozy or using any outside tool, but you can just set up an automated rent payment, an ACH transfer from your tenant's bank account. My mother, who's pretty low tech, she just basically has her tenants, she uses a national bank, and she has her tenants just deposit the money into her bank account every month. And by golly, at the end of the day, on the first of every month, my mom, even one time when she was recovering from surgery last year, is looking at her iPhone and the bank app on her iPhone and making sure that all those tenants deposited their rent. So really, this is not as difficult as you might think it is. It's really quite easy with a lot of the online tools. You should also have, just as a backup, hopefully you'll never need it, but an eviction attorney. So just Google doesn't have to be Google. It could be a Bing search, whatever search engine you use, start page. Just do an internet search for eviction attorneys in the general area where your properties are, and just have them on standby. Call them up, find out what they charge, what they do, and how it all works. And it's really quite simple. Many times, your property management company is simply just using an eviction attorney themselves. They're outsourcing that. You can do it without a property manager. So, if they don't pay the rent or some other covenant of the lease is violated, you can use this eviction attorney, okay? Just for the cost of several $100s, it's really, in the overall scheme of things, not that expensive, and hopefully you will never need it, or you'll rarely need it. Now, you can search online for contractors and have them bid your work, and this still amazes me, how incredibly undetailed some of these quotes are. You want to get from contractors, you want to get detailed quotes that spell out all of the items that they're going to take care of in hopefully very good detail. So insist upon that. When they give you their first quote for the work, you kick it right back to them if it doesn't have enough detail and say, no, I need you to spec this out. It's not paint the house, it's what kind of paint. What areas are you going to paint? It really needs to be detailed. Does the painting include the trim? Does it include the ceilings? Is it interior and exterior? Is it just the trim on the exterior? Is it the entire exterior? What kind of paint are you using? And by the way, I recommend that for your rentals, you use eggshell, and that's not a color, it's a type of paint. It's a type of paint you can just wipe off and clean. It doesn't scratch very easy. Either eggshell or low sheen paint on all of the walls, not just the trim, not just the kitchens and bathrooms, but all of the walls, so that it's very durable. Even if it costs you a little bit extra, it'll save you a lot of money in the long run. And require that your tenant self-identify any required repairs to you and use your list of contractors to address the problem. And a little hint here is that many times your tenants will do the repair work for you. And, you got to be a little careful with that, obviously, because your tenant could do it improperly, of course. But, use your intelligence and your common sense as a guide. And also insist on photographs of things. And you might have one of these local realtors kind of go over there and check it out for you. Usually they will be happy to do that. So some more helpful sites. Realtor.com, more than 1 million realtors nationwide. And again, they can help you with all sorts of stuff. I remember recently my mom had in one of her properties that was about, 1,500, 2,000 miles away from her. She had a realtor that she just called up out of the blue and go over. She wasn't hearing from her tenant. Her tenant was a few days late on the rent. The realtor went over there and checked out the property for her, took some pictures, sent them to her. So very handy resource. Of course, Zillow, we've talked about that many times throughout the course. You can advertise your properties on Zillow, and also Postlets, which is a company owned by Zillow. And there are some real easy things there. Of course, we've all heard of and probably used good old Craigslist. It's a pretty ugly site, but God, it's got a lot of traffic. And there are some great opportunities on Craigslist to get a lot of traffic. Another tip for pros here. Make sure you have a good little catalog, little photo album of photos of your property. In fact, you may want to even have a real estate photographer. Now, this will cost you a couple $100, maybe a little more, depending on the property and the area you're in. But there are many real estate photographers. That's actually a specialty, okay? You don't want the one that's doing high-end, multi-million-dollar mansions, just a basic real estate photographer that all the realtors in the area use to do their flyers and their advertising. You may want to have them go over and take pictures of your property because they've got special wide-angle lenses. They make the rooms look bigger. They'll do a little work on the photos to finish them up afterwards and adjust the lighting and so forth. And it really is well worth it because you can use these pictures over and over again every time you advertise your properties. So I would say that is a good investment. And you want to do that maybe right when you acquire your property before the first tenant before the first turn, because that's probably when your property is going to look the best. So some key takeaways here: self-management gives you greater control by screening your partner, agents, tenants, and repair contractors. You'll have a lot more control over the management process. And for many investors, as I've alluded to before, this control is really even more important than the savings on, not paying the property management fees, not having to pay a property manager. So it can be a very good thing. Self-management requires a little more legwork, ... maybe, sort of. It depends, and we talked about that earlier. You got to stay organized and make sure little details and important dates don't slip through the cracks. One of the things my company offers is some software to help people keep track of lease expirations, renewal dates on insurance policies, and renewal dates on leases and things like that. So, there are a lot of tools out there that can help you with this stuff. At the simplest level, you can just use a spreadsheet, okay? Or you can use your calendar program on your smartphone or computer. And this is a pretty easy item to earn your badge. Just describe some of the advantages of self-management, and then use the template to help you with that. Write a little summary, paragraph or two, no big deal, and then upload this to get your badge, and congratulations. Thank you so much for joining me for this course. It has really been an honor to share some of these ideas with you. Of course, there's more to it. We will have regular updates, webinars, resources for you coming out. So stay tuned and stay engaged with us, because, of course, there's a lot more for you and a lot more resources out there. Again, thank you so much. This is Jason Hartman signing off. Happy investing to all of you. So congratulations on completing Module 6 and the entire course. But wait, there's more. We will have quarterly updates, and we'll have a great community in which you can participate. By now, you have discovered the 5 key advantages of buying investment property for income and for appreciation. You know how to recognize when pull-based appreciation on properties will perform best and where push appreciation performs best. You can use Section 1031 tax-deferred exchanges in your wealth building strategy, and you now see the advantages of holding investment property for long periods of time. As I may have talked about during the course, I have seen many people flip properties, and I've seen a lot of people buy and hold properties. The flippers have spending money, the buy and holders have real wealth. So these long periods of time can really accelerate your wealth creation. We talked about the refi till you die plan, an amazingly tax-efficient way to extract wealth from your real estate portfolio. You've contacted property management companies. You've learned about what they do and how to deal with them and work with them best, and how to manage your manager. You describe the pros and cons of self-managing your properties versus hiring a property manager. So you've done a lot. Congratulations on an awesome job on Module 6, and congratulations for taking the journey to become an informed real estate investor. You now possess the skills and the knowledge necessary to create a successful career investing in real estate. And that word career is important. I want you to think of real estate investing almost like you do your job or your business, right? It is another career. So treat it seriously, and it will reward you handsomely. There is absolutely no limit to what you can accomplish by applying what you have learned through thoughtful, directed action. As part of your lifetime learning plan, I highly recommend that you come back to this course every 6 months. Each time you review these lessons and insights, you will learn new things. A long time ago, when I first discovered Earl Nightingale at age 17, he explained to me, and Earl Nightingale, by the way, is known as the Dean of Personal Development. He explained to me the way when your mind hears an idea, it's like picking up the tone arm on a record player. I know, some of you may not know what a record player is, but it's like picking up the tone arm and all the information that is going by as that record is spinning, you missed it because you're thinking about that one idea that you liked, right? So that's why it's important to review this course, because you will absorb more and more new information each time. And stay engaged and involved in our community. We'll be providing you with updates. We will interact with you, and these quarterly updates will be invaluable. So again, thank you for joining me for this amazing journey on this amazing.com real estate investing course. So I just want to wish you happy investing, and I will look forward to seeing you in the community.